It's interesting what shapes your decisions, isn't it?
I was separated from my wife, started a whole new journey, finding myself, I suppose.
So did you continue the massage while being the brothel manager?
I was beat up by a tranny. You're in the middle of all this, trying to balance it all, blindfold on, dealing with a lot of heightened emotions. I'm sure I got PTSD from it. Real passion for men's health. You just got to be your unique self. I had an affair. I had to rebuild the business. It was below rock bottom. I wanted revenge. I wanted revenge so bad, and it was eating me up. It was eating me alive. But it's really important to let people do their job.
Grow your infrastructure so that you can slow down. Hello everyone, my name's Graham Strang, and I hope my younger self is listening. Today's guest is Warwick Bumstead from Core Benefits, Core Ability, and the podcast
Core Unfiltered.
See, I'd forgotten. Same day. I've known Warwick for over 10 years, straight shooter, and an open-minded and sharp business thinker. Warwick has built and rebuilt businesses, navigated personal challenges, and isn't afraid to have tough and uncomfortable conversations. From growing up on a cattle and grain property to managing businesses in industries that you wouldn't even think about, Warwick has never taken the easy road. He's a founder of Core Benefits, Core Ability, and today we dive into his journey, his lessons learned, how he's built his businesses into what they are today. Warwick, welcome to the Hardware Podcast.
Thanks for having me.
Oh, absolutely. Want to get right into it?
Get into it.
All right. So, you grew up on a cattle and grain property at Warwick. How did that upbringing shape your work ethic and mindset to when it came to resilience and being adaptable?
I think growing up on a property is about resilience and hard work. It's long days and you get stuck in and get the job done. There's things that just can't be left till tomorrow.
Absolutely. Actually, a little bit of trivia. I actually had a sheep and cattle dog called Warra for about 9 years. And he was that because I found him on the side of the road at Warra. This is in the mid-late 90s.
Yep.
Of all things. Do you miss the rural life?
It was an amazing upbringing.
Yep.
But no, it's tough. It is.
I've got great memories as a kid, especially doing stuff with mum and bringing sheep up laneways and all those sorts of things. But then I've got memories of when it hadn't rained and the work that my parents had to put in to just keep stock alive themselves, the financial burden of doing it. That's the bits I don't miss.
Yeah. That's very similar. You had the droughts and you had the floods and
there was good stuff in between.
Oh yeah,
I think the best part was the kid part.
Yeah. Being a kid and having the freedom to roam and run and do a lot of things that city kids don't get to do. We're driving by the time I was 7 and sitting in tractors and.
You tell people what we used to operate in machinery-wise about the age of 7 to 10, they wouldn't believe you now.
Absolutely not.
You're getting too much trouble for it.
Yeah.
So from grain and cattle, you went to the automotive industry.
Yes.
You started at Blackpool Toyota. You quickly moved up the ranks in the parts department and became the parts and services manager. What got you into doing that?
I got a girl pregnant and I had to support her somehow. So 17, 18 and young and dumb. So
it's interesting what shapes your decisions, isn't it?
Yes. Yeah.
It's not something that is this grand plan. All of a sudden life says you've got to do this and you've got to do it now.
Yeah. You've got to pay the bills and you got to support your family and yeah.
So how long did you do the parts management job for?
So that was from 94 to 2003.
2003, and then you progressed in. That was when you went down the massage path on there.
Yeah, 2003. I was service manager, parts and service manager at Classics, and stress of the hill. All these uppity people with their flash cars and the wires and the part here and all the rest of that.
That happens here.
It would do. And I seen this little lad to learn how to massage, and I thought, the missus spends even money on the massage therapist. It must be that hard. And I've never had a massage in my life and done the course.
Was it as easy as you thought it was going to be?
No, there's a lot of anatomy in it.
On both sides.
Yeah.
Did you ever doubt that massage was the wrong or right way to go?
The massage style or massage itself?
Bit of both.
Massage style, I certainly have changed the style that I massage over the years. I've been lucky enough to travel a lot. But as for massage, I had my moments over the time, but it's something I love. It has a very low retention rate, so
It's usually when one of us is broken, we end up on your table.
yeah.
Well, I've got Nikita here. She does remedial massage, and she spends half her life walking around this shop going like this or going like this, and I hear the sentence all the time. You know, if you did this regularly, we wouldn't have this problem. It's definitely one of it. I think you must say that a lot too.
Yeah.
So you've been doing the massage a couple of years, and then you obviously expanded from just learning how to do it. How did you actually build the massage business?
Wrote a heap of letters to the motels, got into their compendiums. I was still working at the time, so working with the motels was good because I could do it after hours. And once I got a feel that this was where I wanted to go, then I took a month off work and made sure and dove into it from there.
Do you miss parts?
Hell no. Fuck no.
In the midst of all that transition and getting the massage business going, the divorce came upon you?
Yeah, so about 3 years later, separated from my wife, started a whole new journey, finding myself, I suppose. Met a guy probably about 6 months after I separated. Wade was a psychologist and we were together for 11 years.
So right in that transition there, so you're a young father, yep, two children, you've gone out to work for yourself, you've done a lot of self-discovery. There must have been a huge load on your mind in the middle of all that.
Oh, absolutely.
How did you get through that? Did you have any real low moments for that where you thought you were doing the wrong thing, the right thing?
I think more with parenthood, more than business. It was, it's, am I doing the right thing by my kids? It's...
If you don't mind me asking, how did your kids go with that change? I mean, they were only little then, but as they got older, obviously they would have looked back and realised that...
my daughter was okay with it. My son struggled with it. My daughter was very much a daddy's girl, and my son a mama's boy. He became a bit protective of mum. Yeah, so it was a hard time navigating their emotions.
If you had to give some advice to someone who's going through that same transition, same change in their life in that period, how would you tell them, or would you advise them to go through it, learning from what you learned at the time?
I think it's very individual. To everyone's so a foot in front of the other. I don't speak out of anger.
It's one of the hardest things.
Yeah,
emotion ruins a lot of things.
it does. Think on stuff. You don't have to speak straight away.
Yeah.
It's a big thing with Buddha. Like, don't just blurt crap out because you're feeling something. It's
a hard thing. One of the things my mother always told me was, she said, don't try and make a heavy decision late in the day. Go to bed on it, get up the next day, and then have a look at it or have the discussion, because fresh brains do a lot of good things.
Absolutely.
So as you're going along with the journey, your core benefits evolved a lot over the years. Then another job came along.
So, late 2008, there was a brothel opening up in Toowoomba. Now, I got a phone call being asked to meet with this person, and he had this job offer for me and didn't tell me what it was. And I said, I'm not interested. I've got my business. I'm happy. Life's good. He goes, no, I really want to speak to you. So I met with him and spoke to him. And it was a job for a brothel manager. So
did you continue the massage while being the brothel manager, or did you?
Yeah, so on my days off, I still had the massage business. I took it out of the shop and just working from home, which I did that for 7 years. Yeah.
But the brothel manager job grew, didn't it? It wasn't just Toowoomba then. It was actually went into
Mackay. Yeah. So
I can listen to you.
you too. It became a massive role. So I become the general manager. So I used to spend most of my time in Mackay on shift there, and then watch over the one here when I was on my days off.
So you did that for 7 years.
Did that for 7 years. Yeah.
What was the moment that said you didn't want to do it anymore?
When I was beat up by a tranny, put me in hospital.
And that was just it. No more.
It's a real tightrope to walk. So you've got to keep the girls happy because you need them coming back to service the clients, but you can't make them do anything. Then you got to keep the boss happy because
Got to make money.
he needs to make money. Then you got the prostitution board, which you got to keep them happy because everything needs to be done to the letter. And then you got the task force, which is the police force, and they have to be happy as well. So you're in the middle of all this, trying to balance it all, blindfold on, and dealing with a lot of heightened emotions.
Did the stress ever get to you doing all that?
Oh, absolutely. I'm sure I got PTSD from it.
Well, they're closed down, aren't they?
Yeah.
Done and gone.
They're both closed now.
So, from understanding it right, once all that went, then you went back to core benefits and regrew. What was it called? Core benefits then?
Yeah. It's always been core benefits. Yeah, I just reignited core benefits and grew a real passion for men's health.
Yeah.
In all of this. So before I went to the brothels, I saw a niche there. So I started with waxing as well. And when I come back, that was my focus, was men's health and grooming.
So when did you realise that core benefits you could really turn it into something for yourself, not being something that you're just cruising along with, but actually going, you know what, I can go hard at this and turn it into something?
Yeah, about 2015, 14. Yeah.
So how did you identify all those niches?
Listening. So listening to clients, listening to needs, watching holes in the market, what no one else is doing in Toowoomba or even southeast Queensland, really. I have clients come from Sydney and Melbourne and everywhere.
See, I didn't know that. Then that's how targeted you do your products, and what you do is that if you've got clients who are happy to get on a plane to come and see you to get looked after, that's pretty amazing. It's crazy that they do. It's probably the bits I don't know about your business with all that sort of stuff, because I've been part of the barbershop. My kids have gone to you. It's just interesting how there's this whole other side to what you do that the general populace or people don't even know that you're doing.
No.
So what's been your biggest challenge in balancing the growth of the business versus the quality of what you do? Because as I know well, the work you've done with blogging, working with the marketing side of the business, but there's also getting bigger, but then also making sure that like those clients that are traveling to see you, that you're delivering that quality product.
When you're in a when you're in a service, it is all about the service. Like, if the phone rings, even for the barbers, they're not allowed to answer the phone.
Yeah.
And so if the phone rings and there's no one to answer it, it will go to message, and the person will automatically receive a message saying, "Hey, we're busy. We will give you a call back directly." Otherwise, you can book online.
Which that booking online works very well. I do it.
Yeah.
If anyone wants to book a haircut, I can tell you that their booking system is pretty flawless. Do you think that there's room for AI and that sort of thing and around that phone answering?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. I think AI is such an untouched beast.
It's just changed a heap, and it's like, holy crap, this is like, I thought it was good before, but this is even better.
Isn't it amazing how quickly all this is continuing to evolve?
We're in real trouble, or the government's in real trouble. We come, I reckon, another 5 years. The government has a plan for all this, so it's going to be interesting to see what's going to happen.
Look, it's an interesting one. I think it's going to replace some positions in the workforce.
Yeah,
It's
absolutely.
probably already doing it.
Yeah.
Not that's that noticeable, but I think you're right. In 4 or 5 years, it'll stand out that, well, we can just automate all this. So
Yeah.
what are we going to do? If you're from around here, chances are you've worn something that we've embroidered, printed, pressed, or branded. Whatever it is, we just get it done. So if you need something, drop in and see us. How do you deal with the misconceptions in the massage business?
Once upon a time, I used to get upset and annoyed about it and all the rest of it. People will think what they think. You know what? It is what it is. I haven't got time to fight it. My books are full.
Yeah.
The money's coming in. I don't have to worry about what people think anymore.
Did any of that experience change your view on your business and people at times?
At times, I thought, oh no, I need to do this different and all the rest of it. And no, when you do, you lose that uniqueness of it, your authenticity. You just got to be your unique self, and people will talk and all the rest of that and have their own ideas. And the fact is, they had not a clue. It's something they've conjured up in their own heads. So.
Isn't it interesting, everyone's personal opinion and how long it takes to learn and get old enough to realise that none of those opinions matter?
Oh man, if I could go back, I'd slap myself.
Me too. There was a period, especially in my probably early 20s, where if someone even spoke my name 20 yards away, I was worried about what it all is.
Yeah.
Now, I don't care. I'm 48 and too tired.
They're talking behind your back. They're behind you. Who cares?
I'd quote my parents a lot, but one of the things that my dad says a lot is, if they're taking the time to be focused on you, they're not focused on what they should be doing.
Exactly.
So therefore, you've already got the edge on them.
Yeah.
And I just find that I've really tried to do that here. Just going, I don't care what anyone else does.
You'll often hear me say, and I think it annoys my kids a bit, but like, what's your opinion on that? No, I don't know. I have no opinion on it. I don't know any. Personally, that's their issue, their problem. I don't need to worry about it or give it thought. So.
Oh, absolutely. And it's that whole that line about letting them rent space in your head if you're caught up in what's happening.
Yeah.
So in 2018, your personal life took a hit, but it also affected the business as well.
Yeah.
Can you walk us through that story, the bits you're comfortable with?
Oh, comfortable.
Lock and load then.
So in 2016, I had an affair. Fell in love with this person. Didn't focus on the business at all. Within 12 months, turnover dropped by half. So for the year. At the same time, I was borrowing money so they could pay for their personal stuff and they'd make the payments and all the rest of it. I was in love. And then obviously we separated and I had this massive debt and wasn't even mine, and I was like, shit, what have I done? So just a silly, heartfelt decision at the time.
We talked earlier about emotion.
Oh yeah,
It's a crazy beast, isn't it?
it is a crazy beast. Talking to the accountant and solicitor, they advised me to go bankrupt. It was too big of a hole at the time to dig. I had to rebuild the business, so I didn't have the cash flow to get myself out of it. And yeah,
So obviously you've hit rock bottom there, here, right?
it was below rock bottom. It was bad.
What was the moment that you told you you got to get back up, you got to get back on the horse and put it all back together?
I wanted revenge. I wanted revenge so bad, and it was eating me up. It was eating me alive. And I woke up one morning and just went, why am I giving this person this energy when I need to focus on other stuff? And it was just like a light bulb, just, So sort shit out and
Start looking after you.
looking after me and rebuild.
Is that, would you call that your biggest takeaway from it? That if you've got to worry about yourself, not about everyone else?
Yeah, focus on your own shit. Yeah, absolutely.
We've covered some lows and some highs, and probably experiences in a good chunk of your younger life. You've come through. You've rebuilt core benefits. You've got it all ticking along now how you should. In 2023, you launched Core Ability, with your great mate Alison,
Yes.
and 18 staff now.
I think it's 18, yeah. Oh, yeah.
If you lose someone, just say sorry.
It's expensive.
What sent you into the disability support space? Can you give us a rundown of how you and Alison went, we'd like to do this?
So Al was talking to me. She wasn't overly happy with the ethics of the person that she was working for at the time. And I just simply said, why don't you start your own? And she was always been corporate, never had her own business, and was like, oh, no, I couldn't do that. And I said, well, I'll start it and work for me. And about 3 days later, she rang up and she goes, were you serious when you said that? And I said, yeah. And then about 3 days after that, she rang up and goes, I wouldn't mind coming in on it. So, yeah.
So you threw out the fishing line and just kept reeling it in?
Yeah, well, then I was like, holy fuck, what have I just done?
So this is your fault.
It is my fault, but it's been very good. Very good.
Have you had any surprises about working in the NDIS space?
It's a tricky space. It's a bit like working in the brothel. You're dealing with a lot of emotions that you've got to be careful with it, and you've got to treat carefully. I'm very lucky though. Alison, does all the work for it. Alison and I talk in the morning for about 15-20 minutes, and just where it's at, what's happening, what's our plans, what's next thing going to be, and she implements and does it.
So where do you want to get the core ability to? Have you have grand plans of taking over the world, or?
Not grand plans of taking over the world, but we want to probably triple the size of it that we're at now.
Yep.
And then I think that's a manageable size with a couple of admin manager, and without getting overly big.
How do you find balancing the two businesses? Because they're completely different.
They are completely different. It's really important to let people do their job.
Yep.
So Alison knows that way better than what I'd ever know it, and vice versa. I know core benefits way better than she'd ever know it. Getting upset when you don't think something's going the right way, it's, well, why are you getting upset? We're back into emotions and not thinking with our head. It's you got to have a lot of trust.
Have you learned things both ways in each business that you've taken back to the other one?
Things that I thought would work from core benefits don't work, which we have sort of tried, but they don't work. Automation's really hard. You're dealing with a lot of different staff changes, and not just changes on the staff side, changes on the customer side, client side.
Look, and I take a hat off to anyone working in NDIS. I think it's such an emotionally charged space because there's nothing easy about it.
Yeah, and every participant sees their needs as the most important one, and to them it is, and that's the way you got to approach it.
So what's next on the horizon for core benefits then? I know because you've added the hair side of things, which you'll have to explain that bit because it's a bit out.
So we've added SMP, which is hair tattooing. So we tattoo hair on your head, looks like it's been a buzz cut, real natural looking. So anyone that's balding or has a spot or wants their hair thickened, it does that. And then we've added the hair systems as well.
Because you talk about emotions and those sorts of things. Men and hair is a really funny little creature, isn't it?
Oh, it's hard when you start the age and your hair falls out. So what we've found is when clients have had chemo and the hair doesn't come back properly. We have a client that was over in Afghanistan and had half of his head blown off, and they put it all back together, but obviously all the stitching marks up the top, so now he doesn't have his hair. The difference in him being able to see who he was, that's
as a soul.
Yeah, and that's the beauty of it. It's heartwarming. Where when I went into it, it was more about I'll say vanity.
And, we're talking about the mental side with men and those sorts of things. You'd see a lot of it. I think I said in my first podcast that men hate talking about mental health, but men even have more hate talking about money.
Yeah.
The one thing that I see all the time, and Peter and I talked about it in the last episode, is getting people to talk about feelings and how they're travelling and getting them out of that space, which you've obviously had to do in some of your low points of having someone going, come on, are you okay? Do you see that there's a change happening in the world around the comfort of like men talking in mental health, those sorts of things, or do you think it's still just as reserved as it was?
It's slowly getting better. It's a bit of a funny one because there's those who take it and run with it, and it sort of becomes their identity a bit.
Yep.
And then there's those that are still very quiet.
There doesn't seem to be middle ground.
No, there doesn't seem to be much middle ground. I think it's really important to find that one person that you can trust. So my PT trainer, Rob,
Yep.
I see him 5 days a week, 5 o'clock in the morning, and if I need to download, he knows the ins and outs of my life, and vice versa. But I've been seeing him now for 8 years, so it's finding that one person that you can be absolutely open, honest, no judgment, and this is what's happening for me.
I liken them to that phone call you can make to a friend at 1 o'clock in the morning and just say, Matt, I need you.
Yeah,
and they don't even ask.
Yeah.
They turn up with a shovel and the roll of duct tape just in case. But it's such a tricky thing. And if you're talking entrepreneurship and you look at how you've grown, you're now building a fairly substantial portfolio with what you're doing. Have you noticed any change around your friends and so forth now that you're starting to really go ahead?
It's a lonely chapter. It's hard because you're leaving your friends behind, or they're trying to maintain those relationships. But what you need to talk about, what you need to learn, is totally different to where they are. But at the same stage, you're not a millionaire yet, so how you haven't got access to these people. So it's a lonely chapter. You just got to be really resilient.
And I find you've got to be really honest with yourself too.
Yeah.
Just go, this is the space that we're in.
Yeah.
There is, I listen to a lot of Alex Hormozzi, and he talks a lot about, planning. He said it's really easy to be super focused when you're trying to make $1 billion, but it's really hard to keep yourself in line when you're just trying to make $1 million.
Yeah.
And he said, and he was talking about success rates on the people who have got the really high expectation of where they can get to, who are ones who are just trying to go step by step.
Yeah.
So the podcast is called The Hard Way because most of us in business life have had to do things the hard way. Many of the conversations we've had, you've learned the hard way many times. If you had to sum up your journey in one sentence, what would be your hard way lesson?
My hard way lesson is to have less self-doubt, be more confident in yourself and in your decisions. Don't listen to everyone that's not on your journey, and have resilience.
I think that's pretty fair. So the final question we have is actually the book of questions. Now, in this book has been written a question by every person who's been on so far, and there's only been 3 of them, including myself. So Peter wrote the last question in here. You get to read the question, and I don't even know what it is, so you get to read it out and then answer the question.
What's your plan? To go in the right direction, you must have a plan. I have quite a few plans. With businesses to expand, core benefits and core ability, and there's a couple other things in the pipeline, and to slow down and take in what's happening more instead of do all the time.
Well, I got given a really good piece of advice today. Grow your infrastructure so that you could slow down.
Yeah.
And I actually thought it tied into that really nicely.
Pretty much exactly.
Yeah.
is what I mean.
Because it's really hard to do here. You've almost got to be here so you can put people in the key positions so that you cancel it out.
Yeah.
So with that book in hand, you actually get to write a question for our next guest. And you have a pen.
But you don't know what it is.
Nope.
Okay.
So that's the end of the hard way. Well, almost. Thank you for being on the show. But you have your own podcast.
I do.
So tell us a bit about it. What's your plan with it?
So it's only just started. There's lots of different topics that I was just talking about Rob before. We have some quite in-depth conversations. And for a long time now, we've been saying we need to record these, we need to record these, we need to record these. So pretty much while I'm working out in the morning, we're starting to record them, and hopefully we'll get a bit better with the camera and the microphones and all that, and pretend they're not there and get back to the real conversations. And then we might start pulling some guests in as well.
Oh, cool. And then it's called Core Unfiltered?
Core Unfiltered.
Well, I hope both our podcasts succeed.
I'm sure that
Then we can compare notes again in another 12 months and see how we're going.
that'd be cool.
Thank you for watching tonight. It's been wonderful to have Warwick aboard. If you are watching us on YouTube, please like and subscribe. Share would be great. Also, you can find us on Apple Podcast and on Spotify. Thank you very much for watching.
Appreciate yous.